This week we will be examining the process of normalization for SQL and certain advanced SQL operations using sets. Database normalization is a way to organize the data in the database and is an approach to decomposing tables. The goal of normalization is to eliminate data redundancy and to prevent insert, update, and delete anomalies occurring when SQL queries are run. This is a process that takes place over several steps, and the data is put in a tabular form by eliminating duplications from the relation tables. There are several normal forms that a multi-entity database goes through before becoming fully normalized. It starts with the first normal form and goes all the way up to the third normal form. The normal forms work in such a way that the next normal form must satisfy the conditions of the previous normal form in addition to some new conditions. I just want to note that third normal form is not the final normal form. In fact, there are other normal forms that are after third normal form, but in this course we will only be talking up to the third normal form. The first normal form holds that there should be no multi-valued attributes in a table. This means you cannot have a column hold two values of anything, such as a phone number, for example. Each column must have a unique value such that multiple columns cannot be used to fetch the same row. With the first normal form, the data redundancy may be increased as there may be many rows with the same data, but each row as a whole is unique. In this example, you cannot have two columns for phone, nor can you have two phone numbers in the same column. You need to move away from that to having phone numbers as separate rows in an entity. Before we move to looking at second normal and third normal forms, let's look at what will help us get to those normalization forms. The concept that is used to develop 2NF and 3NF forms is that of functional dependency. Functional dependency is when one or more attributes is used to determine the value of another attribute. If y is determined by x, it is said to be functionally dependent on x. For instance, a primary key functionally determines all the attributes of an entity. Full functional dependency is when a combination of attributes fully determines another attribute. So y is not dependent on any subset of the combination, but is determined by the whole combination. Here are some examples of functional dependencies. A table is in second normal form if every non-primary key column is fully functionally dependent on the primary key, and the second normal form is actually violated when an attribute is dependent on only part of the primary key. In this example, the column customer credit is not fully functionally dependent on the primary key. It is dependent on customer ID. The table is in third normal form when it is in the second normal form, and every column that is not the primary key is dependent on the primary key. Third normal form is violated when a non-primary key column is a fact about another non-primary key column. You can take a look at this example as well, but Think about a student table with various details about the student, including their address. In a student table such as that, student ID might be a primary key, but street, city, state, and information such as that may depend on the zip code. The dependency between the zip code and other fields is called a transitive dependency. Hence, to apply third normal form, we might need to move the street, city, and state to a new table with maybe the zip code as the primary key. But here are some examples using entities that we are already familiar with, such as nation and stock code. Now, there are other data modeling methods as well, including Chen's ER diagrams. However, ER diagrams have no standard and many variants exist of ER models. However, ER, I mean entity relationship, and other data modeling methods share many concepts, and consequently, learning other methods of modeling is relatively straightforward. The thing to remember is that normalization is one approach to data modeling, and there are multiple representations of a data modeling. Modeling does take time and are difficult art to master. While representing a model is easy, learning how to model is actually quite difficult. Please attempt the following practice exercises on normalization. You can use these exercises as a guide to help you think about normalization and through the normalization process.